Hello everyone and welcome to the V8s Online live broadcast of the RaceCentre's Race to Reality competition. Tonight we're here at Okayama for round 5, powered by V8 Supercar Fan Group, Extreme Sim Gear and Direct Clutch Services. I'm Corey Hanger in the host chair again tonight, and joining me is Reese Gardner. Welcome, Reese.
Hey, how are you, Corey? Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to finally get you in that commentary box, mate. It's been a while. We've been trying to get you in there for the Grand Am stuff, but it's good to finally have you on board.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been looking forward to this for a long while. I've never commentated on anything before, so I'm breaking my commentator duck, so to speak. But this is going to be a good race to make my debut at. We've got hard to drive Legends cars at a really short, fun track, and I think it'll be an interesting race.
Yeah, aren't these cars a little blast? And I tell you what, around this circuit, there's definitely going to be some passing opportunities and some good racing, I think. But I'm sure all the guys will go easy on you. It's been your first time. It's a little bit harder to be in the commentary box sometimes and out there on the track. So it's going to be definitely going to be a good night, though.
Indeed, definitely.
We're in final minutes in practice now. We've got about 8 minutes to go. Currently, Sean Kelly setting the pace with a 59.5. John Emerson joining us tonight, back from Singapore, with a 59.9. Matthew Hill also back again tonight with a 1 minute .042. So now these cars are lapping this joint pretty fast. The rookie Mazda MX-5 around here does about a similar time. So these all Legends cars have got a little bit of speed on board.
Yeah, this circuit is a very very unique one compared to some of the other circuits I've seen on iRacing. This is the short version of the Okayama International Circuit, which cuts out about half of the circuit and turns it into, you might say, a clockwise oval. It's only got 2 left-hand turns, so the drivers are going to need to take a bit of care to make their left-hand tyres last, because it's mostly right-hand turns, putting a lot of load on those left-hand side tyres.
Yeah, and it's an interesting little circuit. I mean, I'm a big fan of this racetrack. My favourite part, though, unfortunately, is all that back section they've cut out. So the big key to this track, though, I think tonight is going to be those two, the sort of the left-hander hairpin, then a right-hander hairpin before the end of the lap. And I think that's going to be quite crucial to break nice and deep into there and get the power out and get a good run, because you can find a lot of time if you get that part of the track right.
Yeah, it's a very interesting section of the circuit and a very crucial one, as you say. It's a section that I've found you've got to late apex both of the turns in order to keep your average speed up through the section and give yourself a nice good exit for those final 2 turns and the nice long front straight.
Just having a look now. We got one of our other commentators, Jay Kennedy, making a return to racing. Obviously, been out of the commentary box the last few weeks, pretty sick, and it's good to see that he's feeling a little bit better and he's now at least back out on the track.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing how he does in this race. Currently on a 101.600 at the moment, and on the timesheets, and looking good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be out there. No real high expectations, just looking to have a good time. He has been. He's been out of the seat for the last couple of weeks, and obviously he's missed the Grand Am races and missed the commentary just due to some sinus issues. So, as I said, it's good to see that they've he spent weeks with doctors not sure what the problem was, and it's good to see now they're starting to get on top of it. And hopefully he's starting to feel a bit better.
Yeah, right. Racing gets in your blood, and it's good to see Jay. Oh, unfortunately, he's spun coming out of the last corner, but yeah. Not much can keep you from getting your racing fix, and sickness is only temporary, so good to see him back.
Gonna have a look now at the little Okayama race circuit, on board with TTL driver John Emerson. He's
number 1.
Sorry there, Reese. He was saying earlier in the practice, he's really loving these cars. Actually, it's a lot of fun to drive, and it's a real. These cars are really interesting because you've got to push it so hard, but they're so twitchy. And if you overdrive it, start sliding, it loses so much time. But you just want to in this kind of car, sort of small, light, lots of power, runs a bit wide there, going to get a nice run on the straight, a bit of draft. So
yeah, running all the way out onto not all the way onto the exit curb, but yeah, he's catching a little bit of a draft there from car 13 of Jared G. Harvey, and has he improved on his time?
No, it was 1 minute .5, so he's about half a second off his best time.
Oh, sliding a little bit through the exit of turn 1. That's a very interesting turn 1. It's a right-hander that you've got to brake reasonably hard for, but it opens out on the exit, so you can get on the throttle a little bit harder, but you've really got to be careful of the exit of that turn, because you touch it and the car will go sliding no matter what you do. Qualifying in 3 minutes. So as we come to the end of the practice session, John Emerson decides to go back to the garage and come back out, probably maybe do another few lap attempts before the session ends.
Yeah, that's taking to get on some green tyres and go all guns blazing for one last hot lap. Actually, speaking of hot laps, though, Matthew Hill jumped up to P2, just edged out John Emerson actually on 59.952.
Very interesting. And he's spun as well. These cars are really, really difficult to control beyond the limit. You make one mistake in these cars and you're almost gone. And it's going to be especially interesting on this track. It's short. It's got lots of slowish corners, lots of braking zones that can really unsettle the car, and quite a few fast sweepers as well. So you have to compromise your driving a little bit in order to get the best out of the car, because this is a fixed setup. You can't make any setup changes in this series, so it's mostly down to the driver.
Another driver we should probably make mention of right here in practice is Daniel Bryant, one of the co-founders of EitsOnline.com.au with Jay Kennedy, out there having a run in this fabulous competition.
Indeed, car number 33, and coming through onto the short straight linking the two halves of the circuit, being closely followed by car 91 of Colin Schwecke.
Yeah, doing a good job right there at the moment. Hasn't had much time to put any miles away lately, so he's just out there having a good time.
Yeah, all running a bit wide in the right-hand hairpin. It's going to be interesting racing in these cars. These cars are very, very small, very maneuverable, and the track's very wide. So, yeah, going to see some interesting trading of racing lines during the race.
For those wondering where Mitch Abrahall has been, he actually booked his spot last week over Joshua Muggleton. So and there's a few guys that were keen to see how he was going. He was consistently in those first few rounds coming second or third, and finally booked it away last week after Josh Muggleton had a few dramas. I'll tell you what, last week was absolutely fantastic racing, and I'm looking forward to this week as well with the big straight. But yeah, no, we've got Mitchell Abrahall, Justin Ruggier, Madison Down, and George Maris, I believe, have all booked their spot into the iRacing final. Joshua Muggleton hasn't returned this week though, but we've still got a great lineup of drivers here, all fighting for that ticket to the iRacing final.
Indeed, and if you succeed in the iRacing final, the payoff is pretty damn good. It's a drive in an Aussie racing car at the final V8 Supercar round of the year at the Homebush Street Circuit. So that's quite a prize to aim for.
Yeah, of course. There's in conjunction with the iRacing competition, RaceCentre are also putting on an R-Factor version. So for those wondering, actually while waiting for qualifying, I'll run through it real quick. There's both R-Factor and iRacing. Basically, there's 20 rounds. The winner of each race will go through to the final of their respective sim. So the iRacing drivers will go to the iRacing final, and the R-Factor guys will go to the R-Factor final. The winner of those two respective competitions will then go into the RaceCentre final at either Queensland or Sydney, where they also have a couple other guys that have got golden tickets due to winning hot laps in the actual RaceCentre facilities. They'll all go into one big race, and there's going to be about 12 of them, I believe. So if my director can double check on that for me, but I believe there's about 12 drivers will go through in a bid to race in the final. And the winner of the outright final will go on, as Reece said, to drive an Aussie racing car at Homebush, as qualifying has now commenced and the drivers have hit the track.
Indeed.
We had Christian out first.
We had Christian Aylward and just join before the qualifying session started. And first out on the track is number 9, car number 9 of Gavin Sadler. He's leading the way for the field, and he'll be the first one to start his lap. Don't know if he's going to have clear air though. We'll see. We'll see once he comes around onto the front straight.
Yeah, good little piece of real estate to have right now out there. No traffic. Try and get a banker lap down. 20-minute session this one, so plenty of time. But it's always nice to put one down rather early, and then you're able to attack the rest of the session. Right behind him, he's actually got John Emerson, so one of the practice fast men. Not far behind Gavin, but Like I said, plenty of time in this session, so I'm sure all these guys are going to get a lap in as we look at Gavin Sadler now coming down into turn 1.
Indeed, and I'm not too sure that Gavin Sadler will be harassed too much by John Emerson, because their practice times were only about a tenth apart, so they should be able to keep the distance, and they should be able to keep each other's noses clean. Gavin Sadler going through onto the short straight, and that's a really hard turn to brake for in my experience. Very, very difficult, because you've got an uphill sort of gradient through this small section of the circuit, and then you've got to really nail the exit of this section in order to get some good grip and good speed through this final section of the circuit. And it looks like John Emerson's sort of caught up to Gavin Sadler, but fortunately it's at the end of the lap, so Gavin Sadler will be able to do a banker lap. He's pulling over for John Emerson.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is working out great for John Emerson at the moment, getting the draft as we get the first times in qualifying down. Emerson at 1 minute .23, Sadler 1 minute 1.4, so I was thinking Emerson might have been able to do a fast time there with the draft, but maybe getting caught behind Sadler those last few corners hurt him a little bit. But,
yeah, banker laps in, and now the drivers are going to see whether they can improve on their lap times.
Some of the drivers filter through. Emerson, Sean Kelly at the top now, the 59.866. So great lap there by Sean, and actually interesting. He had about 3 or 4 tenths over the rest of the field in practice. So he's immediately set a lap time down quicker than anyone else went in the practice session. So Sean, teammates actually to Mitchell Abrahall. So I wonder if Mitchell gave him a few tips in this car, but he's come out straight away with lots of pace.
Yeah, I'm thinking he might be very near the front, or at the front coming into the race, but of course qualifying is the start of that journey to the race session, so we'll see what the other drivers can do. Is there anyone who's up on their lap times or improving?
Looking at Robert Tomei coming around for his first lap, it's only 1 minute 5.0, sorry, yeah. So nothing too fancy yet. Colin Schwecky's P3 at the moment with a 1 minute .2, so good time there by Colin.
Very well done. Sean Kelly's just improved. He's done a 59.398, which puts him far ahead of everyone else at the moment.
That'll be hard to beat.
Over John Emerson's current time.
That is going to be a very hard time to beat. Yeah, it's going to be very hard to beat time rather, because that in practice the fastest time by Hill and Emerson was a .9 for the both of them. So he's got a massive margin over them at the moment.
Matthew Hill goes P2 on a 1 minute .195, but Sean Kelly remains dominant.
Tell you what, if you're Matthew Hill and John Emerson, you'd be almost wanting to work together to try and catch up to Sean on that one, because that is an amazing lap.
Definitely. Got John Emerson slowing down, actually. He's going back to the garage, and I think he's going to put some green tyres on that thing and go out again, maybe do another attempt, try and catch up to Sean Kelly.
Yeah, 20 minutes seems like a long time, but if you stuff up those first few corners, there's almost no point continuing the lap. You may as well go back, get some green tyres and go again. We're almost at the 5 minute mark. Matthew Hill now coming through the 2 last corners.
Ooh, a little bit of a slide.
His time. He's been absolutely ragging this lap.
He's sliding. Oh no! That's going to cost him a bit of time coming on the front straight, and he has abandoned that lap. So Matthew Hill going out for another attempt. This track is not a very forgiving track if you screw it up a little bit.
Can have a look at Jared Harvey now. Sort of just trying to conserve his tyres with a very slow out lap at the moment. See it work so much in the V8 supercars.
Got Colin Schwecky coming out, car 91. Finishing or starting a lap? I think he's starting a lap, so
Try and stay on board this one if you can.
Yeah, sure. Coming through turn 1. Very, very cutting it really fine down into turn 2 and 3, which is almost like a double apex hairpin. Then hugging the inside so you can get a good exit onto. Oh no, he's run off. Oh no, that's going to cost him a little bit of time. It's a short straight, but a straight is a straight, and you do need to nail the exit of a corner coming onto a straight if you want a good time.
That'll be lap gone for those that aren't familiar with iRacing. as he's actually spun around there. If those aren't familiar with iRacing, if you run off on the track, we've touched on it before. You run off the track, you actually get a what's known as a 1x off track penalty, which will affect your safety rating, but a hosted session it won't. So, but in qualifying, if you spin the car or run off wide, your lap will not be valid, as the off track or the loss of control penalty will just automatically disqualify the lap. You've got to be very careful not to overdrive the car and drive off the racetrack. And there's a few curbs actually where if you get a little bit too aggressive over, it can also ping you.
Yeah, it's very difficult qualifying in iRacing as for the reasons that you just outlined there, Corey. Qualifying in iRacing, you need to have a good balance between just pushing the car a little bit and at the same time trying to keep your nose clean. It's not as forgiving as other sims are when it comes to running off the track or making a few mistakes on your lap, so you really got to nail it. Matthew Hill is starting a lap, coming through turn 1 now.
Actually on his out lap
on the inside a little bit. On an out lap, I see.
Sean Kelly pulling over there. We're going to go back and look at John Emerson at the moment, who's actually a couple laps into this run, so it looks like his tyres are a lot of understeer. So you say his tyres maybe a little bit past their use by date for qualifying. Looks like he's got a lot of understeer in that car. He's going to pull it over, will he? Yes.
Yep, he's going to pull it over.
We can look at Matthew Hill now, a couple of corners to go. He's going to start his hot lap. Currently P2 in the session. He's about 2-3 tenths off what he did in practice, and almost a second off Sean Kelly. So he'll be looking to try and get a good run onto this straight now and try and get a really fast lap down to maybe just edge the gap out a bit further over John Emerson at the moment in the battle for second place.
Greg Robertson behind him, probably hoping that he'll catch a bit of a draft from Matthew Hill on the straights here. So we'll see what happens. Matthew Hill coming into turn 1 with Greg Robertson trailing him in the number 24 car. Matthew chucking it into turns 2 and turns 3. Try and get a clean exit here. Let's see.
Yeah, he's got a good run there. He uses all the exit,
fine.
He's all the exit curve out there. Good run down the straight. Probably one of the hardest corners, I have to say, on this racetrack right here. Braking for this, the car gets very unsettled, even in the likes of a Mazda. The car can get very unsettled there as you shift down the gears. He's got a slower car now in front of there. That's Phil Rockstra on an out lap. We'll just move out of the way. Also got
very
Sean
smartly
Kelly.
Gets out of the way.
Sean Kelly parked as well. So guys being very respectful there. I'll tell you what, he'll use a lot of the inside curve. Got on 2 wheels. Come down the final corner. Bit of dust kicked up there from Jared Harvey in front of him. The lap has looked pretty good, so you're going to have to assume it's going to be in the 59s somewhere as he comes to the line. What will it be?
All the exit curb.
59.750 for Matthew Hill, so great time there. It's about 2 tenths quicker than he went in the practice session.
Very, very good effort from Matthew Hill, but Sean Kelly still remains top of the timesheets on a 59.398. Do you think that people will come close to trying to beat that, Corey?
Well, you know, Matthew Hill's my teammate, but I have to say I don't. I think Kelly's got pole. If I was Sean, I'd park that car in the pit lane and just watch for the remainder of the session, because that is going to be a very hard time to beat. You know, all these guys are on a fixed setup, so there's not like you can go and tweak anything to try and gain an advantage. So, yeah, I'm happy to say I think he's got the pole on this one for sure.
Yeah, well, I suppose among the cars trailing him, it will be a battle for best of the rest in qualifying, as Sean Kelly seemed to be channeling Sebastian Vettel with a time like that. Just set a time at the beginning of the session and just sit back and watch the rest of it, probably. But we'll see. He is out again, so I think he might be looking to improve on that time.
Anytime he can get on that, it's just going to be a you know, a bit of a show off out there if he can beat that time. But like I said, I'll be very surprised if he hasn't been talking to Mitchell Abrahall, who's last week's winner, on getting some tips to drive this thing, because it is tricky. I mean, I jumped in and did the first couple of rounds, and it's a bit of a tricky car. So it's definitely not something I can see people jumping in and being fast unless you've had experience in something like this. But one thing to note, you know, quite a long straight here, so if you can get a good run out of the last corner onto that straight. We saw last week at Summer Point the draft into turn 1 was absolutely amazing. The battle between Josh Muggleton and Abrahall was an absolute cracker, with those two constantly drafting past each other. So we've got Matthew Hill going to start his lap into turn 1, followed by teammate Daniel Bryan actually.
hooks up the apex, Matthew Hill, running out to the exit of the corner. Very, very clean exit there. Chucks it into turn 2 and 3 again. Let's see how much of the exit curb he manages to grab here. Hooks up on the inside curb and very clean exit again. We'll see if he can improve on this time.
He didn't use as much curb on the exit. He's sideways, lost his round.
Oh, no.
I was going to say he didn't use as much curb, but he had a very good run down that straight. But round he goes with just under 10 minutes to go now in the session, so there's still time. There's still time to get this done. But also got to say, a big good day to anyone in Queensland or in Sydney watching through the RaceCentre, through the actual facilities. So I hope you're having a good time watching this, and maybe if you're one of the drivers and have a gold ticket, keep an eye out on some of these names because they could very well be there in the outright final. So. Definitely got some very, very talented drivers within the Australia-New Zealand iRacing community. But Phil Rockstra, a guy that honestly has really impressed me. I remember in the first couple of rounds, I wouldn't say he was off the pace, but he was just a little bit further down the field than he is now. And over the last couple of weeks, he's just done a fantastic job to find some pace and really become a top 5 competitor. And we saw him last week. He had a lot of qualifying pace, but a few mistakes in the race really cost him, and he said so on the forum after the race that that he made some driver mistakes that really cost him. But
unfortunately, he spun, and that would have invalidated his lap. Is he going to get?
Colin Schwecky's involved as well. Just as he was trying to press escape, it looks like Colin had nowhere to go out of the corner.
I was going to say, get out of the way, mate. There are cars behind you.
Obviously, there's about a 2-second delay from pressing escape to when you actually get removed off the track in iRacing, so it's unfortunate.
Indeed, Phil Rockstra pulling off to the side of the track, going slowly, probably letting people by so that he gets some clear air himself for his next qualifying attempt.
And here's an interesting one for you. The guy that joined in with only a minute to go in practice, Christian Alwood, currently P3 at the moment. Actually, wait, that he's been knocked back to P4 as Emerson does 1:0.040.
But
so
still
Christian Alwood's
doing
a great job,
well
in P4 there with limited practice.
Very good show from Christian Alwood.
Look at Greg Robertson
in car 24 coming through the double hairpin the back end of the circuit.
Currently in P9 with 1:1.152, so not that far off the pace. It is very close tonight. I'll quickly run through the order while we just look at Greg Robertson run around the track. We've got Sean Kelly currently on the top with 59.398. Matthew Hill in P2 with 59.750. John Emerson 1:0.040. Christian Arwood P4 doing a fantastic job with 1:0.158. Phil Rockstra in P5 1:0.277. Colin Schwecky P6 on 1:0.283. Gavin Sadler in P7 there with 1:0.825. So a bit of a drop off after the top 6. There's about a half a second drop off there. Robert Tomei in P8 1:0.861. Greg Robinson, who we were just looking at on screen before, has done a 1:1.152. Jared Harvey, one of our I believe one of our wildcard winners for the night, thanks to Vets Online and Extreme Sim Gear, currently in P10 with 1:1.207. And one of our Vets Online commentators, Jay Kennedy, 1:1.296, currently in 11th. Liam Collins making his second return sim racing event, currently P12 and a 1:1.435. And Daniel Bryant, currently 13, unlucky number 13 with 1:2.100. So, all those guys I know are in team speak, probably having a good laugh at the moment, all trying to beat each other's times. They're pretty close.
Yeah, this is a very, very close series and a very, very competitive car to have close races in. It's very snappy, very twitchy. It's got a comparatively low-powered engine, but makes up for it in lightness. So it's a very, very interesting car to drive, and certainly an interesting car to race, especially on road courses.
Right, now look now who's on the lap. Looks like we got Sean Kelly, Emerson, and Hilly all within a few seconds of each other now. Just waiting to see. Kelly runs very wide coming onto the straight, dips off into the dirt. Emerson and Hilly take a much Matthew Hill rather take a much more conservative line.
Matthew Hill very conservative. Didn't even touch the curb.
Like all three of them might have been on outlaps there.
Indeed.
So we got, look, Matthew Hill was a 1 minute point 3, so didn't make an improvement. But just looking now, got Gavin
Gavin
Sadler.
Sadler. Bit of a spin, unfortunately, but there's still 4 minutes or so to go in the session, so there is still time to try and improve on your lap time.
Yeah, so just said we've got a couple of minutes to go in the session now. Christian Alwood doing a great job with limited practice. Comes to the line up. He comes to the line. That was a 1 minute point 394. So not an improvement, about 2/10 off.
Still looking to improve as the session is well on its way to coming to a close. But yeah, the drivers are going to be the drivers who want to improve on their times are going to be coming it a bit fine. They've got to make sure that they stay relatively mistake-free and make sure that they make these final laps count.
So after the qualifying session, we will go into a 40-minute race. As I said earlier, the winner will obviously book their ticket in the iRacing final. The racing has been very good so far in this series, so I'm looking forward to around this track. And next week, actually, we've actually come to the end of our rotation. So I believe next week we'll head back to one of the tracks we've already been to. Not sure if it's going to be a different layout or not, but it's going to be interesting if we do go back to the same tracks now. You know, the guys, if they've sort of learned anything maybe from previously being there or not, or if it's been too long ago. But I know we kicked off at Oran Park, and there's going to be a few guys keen to go back there. So not sure if I can get confirmation. I'll try and get on to Shane if I can get some confirmation of where we're going next week. But I've got a 40-minute race, as I touched on earlier, to tackle tonight.
It's going to be, because it's a 40-minute race, and lap times around here are going to be from race times, 1 minute to maybe 1 minute 2s as the qualifying times stand. So it should be, I'd hazard a guess at maybe a 39 lap race, maybe 40 if the drivers are brisk enough with their pace.
Yeah, I think it's going to be roughly around 39 laps-ish, so I think we'll see a couple of 59s, but the tyres will go off. They'll drift away, maybe 38, 39 laps. So a long way around here, though, and tyres are going to be a big thing. A lot of stress on the left-hand tyres on this track.
Yeah, like I said at the start, near the start of the broadcast, this track is pretty much an oval with two left-hand turns and mostly right. So they've got to be really conservative, or at least balance it between. Sorry.
I was going to say, sorry to jump in here, Reece, but Phil Rockshaw has just jumped to P3 with a 1 minute point 016 ahead of John Emerson and Christian Alwood there. So great job by Phil Rockshaw on his previous lap. Sorry, but in Reece, that was a fantastic lap there by Phil.
Yeah, very good effort. And it would seem that some drivers are practicing race starts as the session comes to a close.
Yeah, 30 seconds left in the session now, so if you're not on a hot lap, you're going to be getting pretty close to the back half of the circuit. I think we're only going to have Colin Schwecke and Robert Tomei will be the last guys to do laps. Everyone else needs to be in the pit lane. I'll run through the final grid in just a second. We'll wait to see if these guys can make an improvement.
Robert Tomei coming through the left-hand hairpin and just about to enter the final two turns. Not taking much curb through the second last turn, and it looks like he's being very conservative through these last two turns.
Session has officially come to a close. The checkered flag is out. Robert Tomei will come to the line. He's actually pulled over, so he's boarded that lap. They'll wait for Colin Schwecke now. The number 91, blue and red Legends Ford. Can he improve? He only needs to find... No, he's actually... Nope. There we go. So if he can improve, he can find a couple of spots there. So, great job for Sean Kelly to grab them. I'll run through the grid in just a second.
Very good pace from Sean Kelly there.
Waiting for... Take a look at the grid now. Sean Kelly, as I mentioned, grabbed the pole with that 59.3. I didn't think it was going to be beaten. Matthew Hill in P2, Phil Rockshaw in 3rd, John Emerson in 4th, and Christian Alwood in 5. Very close between Matthew Hill and Christian Alwood. And Colin Schwecke actually in P6, so from second down to sixth, I'm expecting a very close race. Gavin Tadler about half a second further back in P7. Robert Tomei in 8th. Greg Robinson in 9th. Jared Harvey in P10. Jay Kennedy, Liam Collins, and Daniel Bryant, the Dynamic SimSport trio down there, 11, 12, and 13. We wait now, all the cars to grid up. Going to be really looking forward to this one. Race 40 minutes around here. Good long straight. It's going to provide, I think, some good drafting and some good passing in turn one. A very nice wide track, so I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, certainly very interesting, and as we've been discussing, tyres are going to play a massive part. So somewhere near the midpoint or the end of the race, we might see drivers struggling a little bit with their tyre wear and tyre grip. So it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds.
So the session time has officially started, but the in-game timer won't start until the guys have taken the green flag. So we'll keep you updated throughout the race on where they're actually at. So it's about 2 to 3 minutes off, so you're looking at while they're still racing after the 40-minute mark, that'd be wise. Sounds like the revs are starting to rise. No, still about 30 seconds to go. Waiting for Phil Rockstrap, hopefully no dramas. He did a fantastic job in qualifying, so hopefully he's got no issues there. P3, that's a personal best, I believe, in the series. But Phil,
Dang.
Got 10 seconds, so if he doesn't grid up soon, he's might be in a bit of trouble, actually.
Shane Gilfeather also
there we
joined,
go.
but is not going onto the grid. It seems. I'm not.
Yeah, Shane's the event organiser, Reece, so he didn't take part in the races, and sounds like the revs are rising now. So we're getting set for a start. The revs rise, and we are green and racing.
Races go.
Phil's gone absolutely nowhere off the line as they all try to jostle position down into turn one. Phil's going to lose out maybe 3 or 4 spots.
Sean Kelly trying to protect the inside from Matthew Hill as they go into turn one. It would seem that Sean Kelly has gotten through cleanly, as have the rest of the field. Not too many mistakes, but until we come up to here.
Oh, there's contact back in the pack. Liam Collins has turned around Jared Harvey there. Oh, it looks like we've also got Greg Robinson involved. The number 24, nowhere to go.
Jared Harvey and car number
18. It was 18. Liam Collins. Liam Collins into turn 2.
And it seems that Jared his race is over. He's or just about. He's going into the pits for repairs.
Got to replay real quick. Sorry, Reece is going to have a quick look at what's happened here. So Liam Collins has just come in, after doing 20 minutes qualifying, coming a little bit too hot. Tagged the back of the number 13, unlucky number 13 actually there for Jared Harvey, and then poor who was it? Greg Robinson had nowhere to go and straight into the 13 of Jared Harvey. The rest of the guys have managed to get around the rest of that pretty clean. We've got Sean Kelly in the lead from Matthew Hill, John Emerson in P3, Christian Olwood P4, Phil Rockstra P5 after making a slow getaway.
Sorry to interrupt, Corey. Just as you were viewing the replay, I was taking a look down the field, and Jay Kennedy is pitting because he had a little bit of an incident coming into the back part of the circuit, the double hairpin. So he's come into the pits and is going to pit for repairs.
Yeah, I'm hearing reports actually contact with his teammate and be out to line co-founder Daniel Bryant. Those two have come into contact into the first hairpin. See if we can. Going to have a quick look back through here for a replay. We can get it on screen. Going to jump back a little bit further. Director trying to find it. Look here, Jay Kennedy's trying to look up the inside of Daniel Bright. Daniel's sort of snapped under the brakes a little bit. Jay's locked the rears and slid into the front of Daniel. The two making contact, and it looks like Jay's gone around. Daniel's off wide and still going. We're back live now. Sean Kelly leading the pack still by 1 second. Doing great
pulling
job.
Out a gap from Matthew Hill, who is facing a little bit of pressure from John Emerson in third.
Yeah, well, Sean Kelly basically that lap all but beat Matthew Hill's, or just off Matthew Hill's qualifying pace. So, if that's what he's running in the race, it's some outstanding pace. But Matthew's just got to make sure he gets a good run out of that last corner and tries to stay in the draft.
Meanwhile, and also try to keep his nose clean as well.
Good. Got Robert Tomei and Gavin Tadler in a close battle. Just up ahead of them too, we've got Colin Schwecke and Phil Rockstra in a nice close battle. Waiting now for them to come to the final 2 corners and trying to get a gauge on how much this draft is going to affect them down into turn 1.
And this is a very significant part of the circuit because these are two of the quickest corners on the circuit. You really need to nail these corners in order to get a good exit onto the straights, and if you're behind a car, get a good draft. And it would seem that the vast majority of the field have been successful in doing that.
Yeah, they've also got just enough of a gap there to sort of break that draft.
Sean Kelly has now brought the gap out from Matthew Hill up to 1.2 seconds as of the last lap. It would seem that he's pulling away a bit. Matthew just needs to buckle down and make sure he withstands the pressure from John Emerson and hopefully take advantage. Looking back from Matthew Hill, we're looking at John Emerson behind him.
It's interesting to see these guys are all sort of very calm in the opening few laps here, and they've got about half a second to a second between each other. See if we can got Daniel Bryan actually in the commentary box. Interesting start there, Dan, on that first lap contact with your teammate and V8's Online co-founder Jay Kennedy.
Yeah, that actually to not say anything bad about the team, that was it was a full team effort. It all started with Liam having a bit of an incident with another car, and I tapped Liam's front end, and then yeah, just a little bit snappy under brake, and Jay was there as well. So yeah, not very good, but Hilly's doing all right out there. So we've got someone out there repping pretty good for us.
Yeah, Hilly doing a good job. And I can tell you one thing: you guys are all paying the bills if you're playing bumper cars together out there.
Yeah. Well, Liam started it, so if you want to put the blame on someone, we'll put it on Liam. But no, it's a lot of fun. I'm really liking this. I'm definitely way off the pace, and my steering's feeling a little bit ordinary. It's not turning in the way that I'd like it to after the hit with Liam, but still having a ton of fun. So,
any possibility you might be back out there in a couple of weeks, mate, or is this just a one-off thing?
I think I'm actually keen to try this again. It was kind of a last-minute decision to come out here and give it a go. I just wanted to feel a little bit more famous. I'm always either behind the mic or doing other stuff with V8's Online, and I'm never actually in a broadcast. So I thought, this is a chance to get me on a broadcast. So I've jumped in the car, given it a go. But yeah, next week off to Oran Park, which is going to be awesome. There is some talk about some different configurations floating around for a few of the other tracks, so it doesn't get repetitive. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So if there's any favourite configurations that you like for Oran Park, send us through something on Facebook, and yeah, it should be good.
We'll leave you to it, mate. So you're in a good battle there, Greg Robinson. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see if we can drag you down later in the race. But keep up the good work and watch out. That was a bit close there with Greg.
Yeah, just a little. I'm just trying to make him feel a little uncomfortable, so I'll see if I can keep it up.
Thanks, Joyce, mate. We'll talk to you after.
So,
while we were talking to Daniel, Sean Kelly has further brought out the gap. It's now 2.5 seconds to Matthew Hill. So Sean Kelly going along like a house on fire up the front.
Yeah, Sean Kelly still is lapping in the 59s, while the other guys have now dropped back into the mid 1 minute. So doing an absolutely cracking job out there at the moment. Look at Matthew Hill actually having a few oversteer moments coming out of the second hairpin. That's allowing John Emerson to just sort of creep up behind him. Can't quite get close enough to get the draft down the straight though and have a pass in turn one. And got Christian Arwood just behind him. He's had a big moment, actually run very wide.
Oh, is he going to be able to... Oh, he stays out of the gravel on the exit of the last turn. Ran a bit wide through there. That's going to affect his speed on the straight.
Got a nice battle back in the pack with Robert Tomei and Gavin Sadler still going on. This is for P number 7 and 8.
Oh, Robert Tomei is going over to the pit side of the circuit. Not sure why he's doing that. Run a little bit wide. Oh, that's going to give Gavin Sadler a little bit of an advantage. He's got the inside line coming into turn 2, but Robert Tomei guards against him only just.
Tell you what, Rob is on the absolute limit there, running wide, but just managed to hold on. This is going to be what Gavin wants to see though. He's putting the pressure on, wants to see Robert make the mistakes. He saw him go defensive down the front straight, so he knows that Gavin's there.
All right, let's see what Robert Tomei can do coming out of the exit of this hairpin, which is one of the most significant acceleration zones on the circuit. Other than this turn, the last one that they're just coming into now, it seems like Gavin Sadler has fallen back a little bit through that final section of the track.
Robert was a bit wide there, but Gavin's not quite close enough again. I don't think the draft's going to be enough to get him in there by turn 1.
Meanwhile, Sean Kelly almost gotten the gap to 3 seconds now, so he's continuing to pull out a gap to everyone else. Showing a strange amount of dominance.
This battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th is going to start to heat up soon. These guys are all lapping pretty closely. So as the tyres go off, I think these three rather are all going to sort of bunch up nicely.
Indeed. Matthew Hill and John Emerson relatively close to each other, and Christian Aylward's just sitting there behind them, probably just testing the waters, seeing how they're going, and if he is able to get close to them, might be able to try a move and get on the podium before the end of the race.
Got Colin Schwecke and Phil Rockstra going at it, zigging and zagging down the front straight there, trying to break the draft, and Collins in deep into turn 1. Oh. He's going to get it pulled up nicely there. He was very deep, closing up to the back of Phil at a huge rate of knots there.
Managed to hold it.
But Jay Kennedy a lap down after his pit stop. And in a good little viewing spot there, so just sort of watching how this race in front of him unfolds at the moment. Might see if we can get a word with Jay, if I believe we've got him in the commentary box.
Hello.
How you going out there, Mr. Kennedy?
I wasn't expecting that. You're lucky you timed that well. I was about to start swearing.
How you going out there, mate? I saw a bit of contact with the team. Heard Daniel come in and say it was a bit of a team effort with yourself, Liam and Daniel, so...
Oh, he's having a whinge that I've got damage to my car, I can't steer properly, so I assume that's code for I'm slowing down, come past me, and then he cuts in on me. What a hopeless team manager or team owner he is. Taking out his teammates. Anyway, no, I'm enjoying this, boys. Good battle ahead of me.
Sunshine and rainbows at Dynamic Sim Sport, it would seem.
Yeah, always. Good luck there. Good battle ahead of you, boys.
Yeah,
definitely.
Keeping an eye on Phil and Colin. The last night they were going out down that straight something fierce. We're just saying that you got the prime position there to sit back and have a bit of a watch.
Yeah, I'll probably spin out soon, so I won't get to watch it for too long. I'll enjoy it while I can.
Anyway, we'll leave it till it. Try and get a word with you later on in the broadcast. Keep up the good work, mate.
No worries, boys. Have fun.
So,
as Sean Kelly,
Robert Tomei, Gavin Sadler battle still on. Looks like Tomei doing a good job at the moment, just to maybe break the gap as Gavin Sadler very sideways.
Got to be really careful coming out of there, and especially in this turn as well, because if you use too much curb, you're going to go spinning. Looked like both drivers avoided the curb there just a little bit. We're currently 13 minutes into the race, and it would seem that Robert Tomei is trying to guard against Gavin Sadler, trying to draft an out-braking move into turn 1. Still managing to hold him off as we come up to the 14th minute of the race, as Jay Kennedy spins.
He's actually
in front
put in the fence
them,
there.
Puts it into the fence.
They go to a replay. Jay Kennedy down into turn 1. Looks like he maybe got the power down a little bit too soon and hit the brakes until he nipped the fence. He just nips the fence there. Car was basically creeping the back and going. It's been interesting actually. He's come out behind his teammate Liam Collins, so maybe these guys can all reunite after that little first lap moment and go at it again.
Well, Jay Kennedy did say that he probably would spin, so if anything, you can say that our favourite V8's online commentator is consistent, if nothing else.
You can see into the future of that one, I tell ya. But Matthew Hill, big moment. Turn 1 ran a little bit wide, but honestly, it looks like the tyres might be starting to go off on the number 82 car there.
No such problems for Sean Kelly, who's now brought out the gap to 4 seconds. A little bit of an oversteer moment coming into the left-hand hairpin, but still managing to hold it together up the front and continuing to bring out a gap. Very smooth driving from him, it would seem.
look further back in the pack. Jared Harvey looking to have a pass up inside at Daniel Bryan, actually. Turn 1. Main Sadler battle continues also. Still for P7 and 8.
Battle's starting to hot up. Gavin Sadler is getting a little impatient, it would seem. His driving has seemed a little bit ragged these last few corners. I think he might be saying, look, I need to get by you, Mr. Robert Tomei, as he moves over to guard against Gavin Sadler and comes back round to get the optimum line into turn 1.
Yeah, I think he's just running a bit wide there, or running to the right rather, just to maybe break that draft, because we saw last week, like I said, at Summit Point, the draft was a huge factor in passing the turn 1, and I think he might be just edging over there to, like I said, to break that draft and not allow Gavin Sadler to close up. Battle for second, though.
Matthew Hill and John Emerson. Matthew Hill using all the curb in the second last turn, and John Emerson, Matthew Hill seemed like a little bit of a slide there in the middle of the last turn, and John Emerson is continuing to pressure him, and Christian Aylward in the background is just taking a back seat as usual, watching the battle, keeping a cool head, it would seem.
Yeah, we touched on it about a lap or two ago. Looks like Matthew Hill was starting to struggle a bit with tyres, and I understand he's already sliding it around a lot there, and you can't really afford to do that, because once you start sliding these cars, you can warm the tyres up, and once you do that, it becomes like an ice skating rink, and the car's going to slide all over the track. And this is what John Emerson wants to see, though. John wants to see the mistakes and the sliding from Matthew Hill to, just sort of maybe try and get a little bit closer and then make him pressure him into a mistake. He's just got to keep pushing, and he's catching about 2/10 a lap there. Runs a bit wide though, Emerson. Got to just try and get close enough to get that run onto the straight with the draft into turn 1. Still plenty of time. We're only at about the 15-minute mark of this race, so still plenty of time to go.
Robert Tomei and Gavin Sadler, their battle is also really hotting up as well. Gavin Sadler is really close to Robert Tomei now, coming out of the right-hand hairpin.
Going to go on one of my favourite cameras, the gearbox cam. Robert Tomei looking back at Gavin Sadler. Again, as he comes out of the last corner, moves over. What's interesting here is that Gavin Sadler isn't moving to the right to try and continue that draft with Robert. So interesting is Gavin a lot deeper under brakes into turn 1, pulls it up though.
This is going to be interesting.
He pulls it up very nice there, Gavin Sadler.
Very, very close. That could have ended really badly.
Tomei's wide.
Oh, Gavin Sadler is probably getting to Robert Tomei a little bit.
Oh, sideways. It looks like Robert Tomei now pushing very hard, using all the curbs, sliding that car around. And Gavin can see this. Gavin wants this to happen.
Having a little bit of a look, but he decides against it. Let's see what he can do here.
Further up in the battle pack for second and third, John Emerson now. He's in the draft of Matthew Hill, and he's all over the back of the Dynamic Sim Sport number 82.
Matthew Hill, a little wide into the entry into turn 1. John Emerson is now really close to Matthew Hill. Oh, John Emerson running a little bit wide there through turn 2, but he hooks it up through turn 3. He's lost a little bit of ground to Matthew Hill.
You can actually run different lines through there, though. If you can sacrifice a bit of speed in the early part to get a better run down this straight, and that's look like what he's done. Oh, he's breaking deep into the first hairpin. He's starting to really apply the pressure now to Matthew Hill.
John Emerson is getting hungry for second position. Let's see what he can do in this last part of the lap. Is Matthew Hill going to move over on the start-finish straight to try and break the draft to John Emerson? Or is John Emerson... Oh, a little bit of a slide there from John Emerson coming out of the second last turn.
Matthew's got to get the power down here and get a good run. Looks like John sideways again. That's going to cost him. John Emerson's not going to be close enough this time by. You can't afford to do those little slides off the corners.
See what they're doing in turn 1. John Emerson closing up just a little bit, but he's run wide.
Yeah, that was very deep. Missed the apex.
Starting to lose ground a little bit to Matthew Hill.
And this is going to be what Hilly wants to see also. John Emerson now pushing and making mistakes. Just like John saw before with Matthew Hill making mistakes with the pressure. Actually got a spun car. Daniel Bryan up ahead. Hopefully just stays there, rolls out of the way he does. Good thinking there by Daniel. He spins it around into the dirt and keeps going. You go to replay real quick of DB into the first hairpin. like I said, this is one of the hardest corners. You can actually just come into the corner there, put the brakes down, shift it, and round he goes. And I can tell you I've done that plenty of times in all kinds of different cars. The car gets very loose for that braking corner. I'm hearing that Reece G, the spectators are loving having you in the commentary box this week, mate.
Oh, well, I'm very flattered. For my first time, that wasn't expected. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Look now, battle with Emerson and Matthew Hill continues. Emerson not quite close enough again, though, into down the straight. Won't be close enough into turn 1.
He ran onto the grass a little bit on the inside of turn 3, and he's... Oh, John Emerson is slowing down. John Emerson is slowing down. Oh,
yeah, he's got a cut track.
He's got a cut track.
He was getting too aggressive on the curbs and got a cut track there, and that's going to cost him big amounts of time. And my apologies, by the way, folks, for a couple of seconds ago. I had my my TV on replay there, so I was watching it in delayed time.
And that might bring John Emerson into the clutches of Christian Aylward, but the gap between... Oh my goodness, the gap between Matthew Hill and John Emerson has really opened up now, and John Emerson, because of that off track, as he has a little bit of an oversteer moment coming onto the curb out of the exit of the last turn, he's going to have to really work to catch up to Matthew Hill now, because the gap is absolutely huge now.
Yeah, John Emerson lost about 1.5 seconds in that last lap, so he's going to be he's got to watch out now though, because Christian Aylward will get that sniff after the mistake. John's going to push hard. He's got to be very careful. The gap from Sean Kelly there back to Matthew Hill is 5.5 seconds.
He might as well be running a time trial, Sean Kelly. He's way out in front.
Absolutely dominating margin at the moment, and we're only about halfway through this race, so fantastic speed tonight from the LMR Easy Works number 37 Legends Ford. I was having a look through earlier too. What's interesting here is, you know, we've got some of the top V8 supercar teams here all represented within the top 5 or 6 cars. Going to go on board with Sean Kelly for a lap. I'll just touch on this real quick. We've got Sean Kelly, regular in the V8 Online series in the LMR, one of the front runners. Got Dynamic Sim Sports Matthew Hill, one of the front top 10 competitors in the V8 Supercar Series. TTL's John Emerson, also up there in P3, and of course ANZ Motorsports Christian Aylward. So, you know, the top teams in the V8 Supercars coming to the forefront here in the Race to Reality competition. Watch Sean Kelly wheeling this car around this track. This is where it's going to be interesting to see how smooth he is. Oh, actually, I hear the tyres screeching into the corner. Gets the power down nice though. Shifts up a gear.
Well, considering that the Legends car is a very oversteery machine, I think Sean Kelly is making the tyres screech on purpose, turning a little bit, giving a little bit more of a steering angle into the corner than he needs to, probably to keep the rear end of the car stable, and to make the tyre wear from front to rear a bit more regular, so the car behaviour might be a bit more predictable in the later stages of the race. I'm not sure, but either way, whatever he's doing, it's working for him, because he's nearly a 6-second gap to Matthew Hill now.
Yeah, that last lap for Matthew Hill was 1:897 versus a 1:700 for Sean Kelly, so he's, the gap's only down to about 0.2 of a second now per lap, but the gap overall in the race is almost 6 seconds. As we have officially gone over the halfway mark, folks, we're at 21 minutes into this event. So, got the battle continuing between Robert Tomei and Gavin Sadler. We see Robert still moving over. This time Gavin's going with him, so Gavin's trying to get the draft now and put the move on. As you got Robert Tomei's moving left and right.
Gavin Sadler, I think, is catching on to Robert Tomei's weaving on the start-finish straight, and he's a little bit closer this time.
Yeah, he's got a good run out of turn 1 there. He's right up on the back of Robert Tomei here.
We'll see how they go through this other section of the circuit.
Got to get the power down. He's run a bit wide. Put the power down too early, rather, through the exit there. And unfortunately, that cost him a couple of tenths. He was all over the back of Robert. We go on the bumper cam with Gavin Sadler here as he attacks through the hairpins. Some of the tightest and slowest corners on the racetrack. It's a great view, though. Really.
Oh,
he's sideways out of the hairpin.
Oh my
Big
goodness.
moment. Big moment for Gavin Sadler there as he's trying to catch up as quick as he can to Robert Tomei after that little mistake. And again, this has just helped Robert pull that little bit of a gap out now. I was just going to say, this thing looks absolutely wicked fast from the nose cam. Robert again moving over. Gavin doesn't this time, however. Battle for third, though. As they've got Christian Allwood now starting to close in on the back of John Emerson on this last lap. So maybe John's had a mistake somewhere around this lap because he's lost a bit of time.
Coming through the second last turn.
Oh.
They're staying off the curb a little bit. John Emerson hooking it up through the final turn and getting a bit of a dust kick up on the exit of the last turn.
John Emerson was absolutely pushing the thing to the limit for those last couple of corners. Have a look at the lap times. Christian Allwood 1 minute .981 and John Emerson was a 1 minute .786. So it's quicker than that lap for John, but it looked like Christian had actually closed the gap a little bit. But Gavin Sadler getting close now again to the back of Robert May after the last lap's little moments.
Ooh,
Gets the power down. He's sideways again into that final corner though.
Robert Tomei, he's sort of half following Robert Tomei over to the right-hand side of the circuit, but for some reason not deciding to go through with it as Robert Tomei takes a bit of a wide line, but hooks it up at the apex of turn 1. Oh no!
I've got to say, this is you can tell that Gavin Sadler's
That's
pushing
really
his
close.
head up the inside.
That's really close. This
He's sideways again. It's almost contact.
Almost contact. Almost that.
He's got a good run here, Reese. He's got a good run. He's going to look up the inside. Robert's going to move over to defend the position, but Gavin's already up there.
He wants it.
Tomei's in massively deep.
Ooh.
And
Gavin
finally
Sadler takes the position.
Gavin Sadler, job done. That was those two were absolutely on the limit.
That certainly upset the apple cart in the Robert Tomei camp.
Going to see if Robert now, though, can get the run onto the straight. That looks like he's just maybe cooked his tyres a little bit. He was pushing that thing to the absolute limit to try and keep the gap over Gavin Sadler on that last lap.
Very intense battle, and that was really close racing between the two of them, but they managed to keep it clean.
John Emerson now, the TTL, about to say TTL Falcon, jeez. You see the V8 commentator and me coming out there. John Emerson, though, the TTL Legends.
Gapping over the curb.
Yeah, using a lot of the curb there, gapping Christian Allwood now, though. And he's just a little bit off Hilly's pace, Matthew Hill's pace. He's run wide.
He's gone into the gravel just a little bit. I don't know if Christian Allwood followed him off into the gravel there, but that certainly cost John Emerson yet another little bit of time to Matthew Hill. I think what John Emerson is doing right now is trying to get out of Christian Allwood's clutches and attempt to...
Got Liam Collins having a bit of a... Is that moment? It's Emerson sideways through the double right-hander there. And I was going to say, I think what John Emerson's doing is taking a page out of the Muggleton book and trying to distract the car behind him by chucking rocks at the window.
Damn, that was Liam Collins trying to stay out of the way, but John Emerson veered over to his side of the circuit and very nearly collected him. I'm not too sure what was happening there.
Yeah, maybe trying to get the draft there. Maybe got a little bit loose, but as I was saying, yeah, we heard Josh Muggleton last week throwing rocks at Mitchell Labrador to put him off, so maybe just what Emerson's doing right now, just to distract Allwood.
Gavin Sadler and Robert Tomei still very close, even after Tomei made a little mistake into the turn that they're going into now. Oh, that was really close. Really close to a little bit of too much of a mistake from Gavin Sadler. As they're coming out of the final turn, Robert Tomei seems to have dropped off ever so slightly, but he lost the position out of his own small error, and he'll be wanting to get that position back from Gavin Sadler before the race is over.
Yeah, he's lost a bit of time in this last part of the track. I was going to say here, his last lap was quicker than Sadler, so these two are seesawing at the moment, but a few mistakes there cost him about 4/10. Oh, we've got a car having a big moment. There's Jared Harvey in front of him. Big moment there, coming it through one as Harvey pulls over to the right-hand side. Good job there, mate.
Promptly getting out of the way, allowing the battling cars through.
Here's an interesting one. We've got a battle for position here. They're 2 laps down, but Jay Kennedy and Daniel Bryant going at it for 11th and 12th.
Dynamic sim sport intra-team battle. Jay Kennedy's got the inside line for the second last turn. Daniel Bryant is leaving him room. But
Daniel's going to try and get it right on the straight. He tries to get the over.
Is he going to do the crisscross?
These two here, the V8s Online founders. He's going to duck back in there and get the try and get the draft.
They're just having fun out here, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just having a ball, and I think it's perfect time to have a big shout out to these two. I mean, they've and of course our director behind the scenes, Sebastian, But Daniel Bryan and Jay Kennedy, they were the two that really got the Vance Online broadcasting off the ground and to where it is today. So, you know, big well done to those two. A lot of the Oz Club community are you know, very appreciative of what these guys have done, and I think it's a fantastic step forward for the Australian New Zealand sim community.
Massive props to them, as Daniel Bryan has a little bit of a moment coming into the left-hand hairpin, dropped off a little bit from Jay Kennedy. It would seem that Jay is attempting to make some tracks and
look who's just
trying to get away from his teammate.
Liam Collins, though, just ahead of him. Having internet dramas again, though, for Liam. So, and actually, Jay's lost him. Daniel's off the track. Daniel's run wide. Liam's coming to the pit lane.
Pitting. That would have been a bit of a scare, wouldn't it?
That's held up Jay Kennedy now though.
I heard a crash.
Oh, I'm going to spin it down turn 1. Who's that? That's John Emerson, blown motor. John Emerson into turn 1 has shifted down too early, blown the motor, spun it around. That'll be race over.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. That's absolutely heartbreaking.
The TTL legend, I keep going to say Falcon when I say TTL. The TTL legend, though, has just blown up his motor. Around he goes into the sand trap. Day done, though, unfortunately, for John Emerson.
He will be devastated after that. He was running so well, too.
And he's just exited the game, so our first retirement for the night, John Emerson.
Unfortunate that it had to be him, because he was running really well then, managing to hold off Christian Aylward. Unfortunately, probably pushed a little bit too hard in trying to bring out a gap.
So we are now almost at the half an hour mark, so we've almost got 10 minutes to go. Daniel Bryan's looking coming on the straight, very sideways.
Still having a fun little Wednesday night cruise, the two Dynamic Sim Sport drivers and V8's Online founders.
Looking at Sean Kelly coming around the final 2 corners.
A 9-second gap. He's really on fire.
He's absolutely brained them tonight. He's had outstanding pace in the EasyWorks Legends 30, I think it's Legends 34 Coupe. He's had an amazing pace, and like I said, I think he's maybe had a bit of driving lessons with his teammate as he crosses the line. Officially under 10 minutes to go in this race, lap 31. Also had our second retirement of the night, Liam Collins now. So as the race winds down, they're starting to fall over a little bit here. When all this shakes out, we believe Jay Kennedy and Daniel Bryan will be fighting for a top 10 position. So nice little night for those two, being 2 laps down, still going inside the top 10.
Just goes to show you that anything can happen in motor racing, real or simulated.
So Gavin Sadler now losing ground again to Robert Tomei. This battle's been going on all race.
Ooh, looks like a little, just managing to hold it through the final turn is Gavin Sadler, but Robert Tomei is now in the draft. Gavin Sadler obviously hasn't learned from what Robert Tomei has been doing and is holding the left-hand line, not breaking the draft. That'll bring Robert Tomei up to him a little bit. Oh, Gavin Sadler into the dirt a little bit.
Had a big moment back in the pack. Daniel Bryan, Jay Kennedy still going at it. Now they're still battling right now for the top commentator rights at the moment. Looks like Daniel Bryan's got a good run there. He's had a look up the inside of the final corner, pulls it up.
Oh, Jay Kennedy is
Jay Kennedy contact!
No, there's contact!
Oh, they're both
there's
in the
contact! They're off,
no.
they're both off. Jay Kennedy promptly reverses. Oh no, that's Daniel Bryan. Promptly reverses it back onto the circuit and continues going. Looks like Jay Kennedy's got a slightly bent car from that.
Yeah, Jay Kennedy's got a case of the crabs down the front straight here. Got Daniel Bryan's not looking too straight either at the moment.
I think they might have to both come into the pits for repairs unless they decide to be heroes and try to stick it out until the end of the race with
Speaking of
bent cars.
coming in, I might say we can just get a word with the both of them right now. Really quick.
Goodness.
What, if I can get a hold of Daniel and Jay, might not be the best time. I'll wait to see if they come into the pit lane this time by first. But actually, we've got Daniel Bryan. Jay Kennedy, Daniel Bryan, what's going on out there, boys? Oh, what a big moment.
Like you didn't drag us in a couple of seconds earlier because we've just been swearing at each other. So
yeah, the problem with Jay is that you can't understand him. Like, when he gets angry, he starts yelling Spanish. He was saying something. He was trying to eat a taco or something going on in the corner, and we just didn't know what was going on. Next thing,
Oh,
We've got
shit,
Jay Kennedy coming into the pit lane.
I love you guys
coming
so
a bit late.
much.
There's a pit stop here too.
Oh
It's all
my
going
goodness. This is
Yeah.
brilliant. Oh no. Oh
Pushing down the
no.
pit lane. This is professionalism here at vetsonline.com.au.
Indeed.
With the two founders. Bit of bumper car stuff down the pit lane.
I think the driver behind should pay attention to L plates. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
that-
it was.
Our,
I forgot that he was
broadcast-
still a learner.
our broadcast director Seb giggling away in the background. He can't get enough of this.
Meanwhile, while
Seb
this is all
loves,
going on,
loves all this sort of stuff.
Sean Kelly, big moment into turn 2. Got a 10-second lead at the moment. Fantastic job at the moment there by the Easy Works car.
If anything, he can afford to make a mistake now. Especially now that we're in the final stage of the race.
Now, hey, Jay and Daniel, thanks for joining us again. We'll chat to you after the race. And
No, I think
you guys
it's a
have
race
fun.
to get out of back on the track again for top 9 or top 10.
yeah, hopefully they get them cars fixed. You have another little battle towards the end out there. Some
Fantastic.
interesting moments there for the vetsonline.com.au founders.
Sean Kelly briefly running wide on the exit of the second last turn into the gravel, but he manages to be his usual smooth sailing self. He shuddered a little bit there on the broadcast for me. I'm not sure if he had a couple of small net problems, but he's still managing to maintain a 10-second lead despite all that.
As he crossed the line that time by, 34 minutes gone in this race. We're going to have about 5 or 6 more laps to go. Just keeping an eye on the race out of pit lane. Also back in the pack, but the battle between Robert Tomei and Gavin Sadler also for 6th and 7th still going on at the moment.
Gavin Sadler taking a bit of a narrow line into that left-hand hairpin. You can see that Robert Tomei is using a little bit more of the road than Gavin Sadler is, probably in the hopes of trying to catch him up.
Been a bit quiet tonight. Matthew Hill had an eventful first couple laps with John Emerson closing the gap, but doing a good job out there at the moment. He's got a 5-second margin over third place Christian Earlwood. Of course, there is going to be a what's called the bridesmaid entry to the iRacing final, so Matthew Hill's doing a good job at that at the moment. Probably the highest point scoring driver after those that have had a win. But 10 seconds off the back of Sean Kelly at the moment.
And Christian Aylward ominously in the background, 5 seconds behind. Whether or not he can make up those 5 seconds in these last few laps is something that remains to be seen, but for now it looks like Matthew Hill is safe in second place.
I don't want to put the mockers on anyone because we saw it happen at Madison Down in Monday night's Brazilian Interlagos race, the Vet Supercars, but it appears that Sean Kelly is having some internet dramas. I think you touched on it about a lap or two ago, Reese. Sean Kelly having a few internet dramas at the moment. Only a couple minutes to go now, so hopefully it's nothing too bad.
Well, hopefully he can hold out. His car's disappearing and reappearing and jerking around a little bit. This is going to be a bit interesting in these final minutes of the race.
Yeah, one thing is he's coming up on the back of Robert Tomei and Gavin Sadler there as Jay Kennedy comes out of the pit lane.
Oh,
You have to
Gavin
watch-
Sadler, ever so tiny slide.
I'd hate to see it happen, but one of the things that can happen when you're having a few lag moments in iRacing, if you lag across the start-finish line, it can actually not count your lap. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But,
Yeah, that would be absolutely devastating for Sean Kelly, especially after all the good work he's done in this race so far.
yeah, 36 minutes into this race, almost 37, so if anything was to happen now, it'd be absolutely devastating. He's had the pace all night, been the dominant driver, out to a 10.6 second lead. Coming up on the battle, as we've touched on, of Tomei and Sadler.
Matthew Hill, sort of a tiny little slide coming into the left-hand hairpin. So a few small mistakes from him, but still managing to hold out.
Gavin Sadler sideways coming onto the straight. Tomei not quite close enough to capitalise on that.
But Bill Rockstra in 4th place. Currently a long way behind Christian Aylward, but a good showing from him in 4th place. He's got Colin Schwecke behind him by about 4 seconds or so.
Yeah, last week, like I said, he had good qualifying pace, but made too many mistakes in the race, and so he's trying to get the draft there of Greg Robinson, a lap car just getting out of the way. He had good pace last week, but he admitted himself on the forums post-race that those mistakes really cost him. And we haven't really spoken about him much tonight. He's had a bit of a boring race, but sometimes those boring races can be the good ones.
Yeah, he's been a very, very sneaky in this race, still maintaining his pace, and he's managed to benefit out of that by one position because of John Emerson's unfortunate mechanical problems.
So on screen, you guys might be seeing the race at 40 minutes. I'll officially give you the time as we cross the line this time by. We are at 38 minutes and 20 seconds, so we've got about another lap or two, maybe 3. And he's actually, Sean Kelly, the leader, trying to pass Gavin Sadler here. He broke up the battle between Tomei and Sadler there, but...
Still having a couple of lag moments, Sean Kelly, but Gavin Sadler and Robert Tomei promptly got out of his way. And it would seem that Gavin Sadler is trying to profit from the race leader being in front of him as he is trying to catch the draft and hopefully get a bit of ground.
I'm watching him absolutely stamp the throttle, trying to stay close enough there to Sean Kelly. Maybe get a little bit of draft and just pull the gap out over Robert Tomei for the final few laps.
He's just got to be careful because the Legends car is very twitchy, as we've said earlier, and getting on the throttle maybe just 1 millisecond too early can send the car into a slide, and that can be very hard to recover, especially when the tyres are in a state such as this at the end of the race.
We've got Sean Kelly now coming to the line. The official timer is now at 39 minutes 22 seconds, so this should be the last lap here for the EasyWorks number 37 Legends. Keep going to say Falcon. So you sort after the Viet Salon, Viet Supercar commentary of the EasyWorks number 37 Legends Ford. Got about half a lap to run now. He's had an absolutely fantastic drive tonight. Some absolute dominating speed. Qualified in front of the rest of the pack by about half a second. Currently the gap's at 11.8 seconds with 1 lap to go. He's just he's been unstoppable tonight, Reese.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Schumacher era 2000.